Welcome to The Advocate, a program that thrashes out all the topical issues of the day.
When you are in government, you don't see nothing wrong with whatever is happening. The moment you are out there, everything is wrong.
You can't even see many women now, and when they're there, they're not even really making a mark, and then they have an NYSC problem and this and that.
One of the reasons why we don't have more women in politics in Nigeria is for as long as political meetings continue to take place in the middle of the night.
Exactly.
Really disastrous for a president
to even say
be unaware of the chief
It's
justice.
a ploy. It could be a strategy.
That strategy was
Backfired.
very terrible strategy. Because the buck stops at your table.
Whether it's that we don't look after our cities, and quite frankly, Nigeria is becoming a very ugly place.
When you are the only one feeding the people with this news, and there is nobody countering them, it becomes, the news. Men may die, but ideas don't. Like diamonds, they live forever. So it is, you create the idea, we advocate it. Welcome to another episode of The Advocate, a program where we stimulate the soul of the society by advocating various issues frankly and in an unrestrained manner, saying it as it is, no holds barred. This week, yours sincerely, the only peacemaker in the house, will be talking about the Nigerian national anthem, an abandoned project. The calm but heart-punching Uche is asking, is OBJ a patriot or an enemy of the state? While your gentle and unassuming Pretty Ekene wants to take over Reti's job by advocating for love towards women, where she's asking, if we're a generation of women hater, I know many of you do not agree with her. Our very own Oyibo Pepe Reti, though not around, will be ably represented by Debbie, our freshest member of the panel. She's taking on infamous Lagos traffic by alleging that Lagos hates us. Is there an imagined hatred here or hate speech? Last but not the least, my main man Chuka, who though has seen it all, but a first look at him gives the impression that he hasn't seen anything. We're putting the cat among the pigeons with this topic, whose God is he anyway? With the array of dudes, beauty, and brains, I hope the weather in the studio will be able to take the heat. Why don't you sit back and let's roll forward together. My topic today, the second stanza of our national anthem should be our national prayers, rather than these long Christian and Muslim prayers at our national event. A look at the prayer will convince you. O God of creation, direct our noble course, guide our leaders right, help our youth the truth to know, in love and honesty to grow, and living just and true, great lofty height attain, to build a nation where peace and justice shall reign. So simple, yet so deep. If only we can truly craft these beautiful lines in our heart, recite, mean, and live them every day of our lives, we can truly build a nation where peace and justice can indeed reign.
Liboris, nobody can argue with what you've just proposed. I mean, it's very, very clear. Today it was even clearer to me when I went to watch my 4-year-old boy, in a concert, and we had to start I actually have it here, so I just wanted to show you that, And they started the whole affair with the national anthem, and I hadn't heard it or sang it in a long, long time. So when I finally, it was good to have the words right before me. And I remembered your topic today, so I started paying closer attention. And I mean, these words are the deepest I have heard in a long time. You hear all these waffling prayers, and people pray and all kinds of things, but they're not really getting to the root of the matter.
So let me come in, because you're saying no one can argue, but is this really the solution? I think I'm arguing that it isn't. Simply because in schools, they say this every day. When they assemble together, this is what you hear every day. So is it a case of reciting it more, or is there something more fundamental at stake?
No, but Liboris pointed out that you have to live it every day. So he wasn't just talking about reciting it, he was talking about if we live it as well.
So what will make people live it? Is it just...
I started with, we're a very religious country, but less godly.
Okay. That's what it is.
So you go to national events, or state events, or local government event, the Christian prayer, the Muslim prayer. The day you don't say the Christian prayers, the Christians are angry. The day you say the Muslim, you say the Christian, you don't say the Muslim. But you have a national prayer in the national anthem. O God of creation, direct and noble course. It started with God. Help our leaders right. Our youth the truth to know. Let us live just and true, and attain a lofty heights, and to build a nation where peace and justice will reign. You can't achieve peace where there is no justice. So it's not about, I'm coming to your point. It's not about singing it. When I was in primary school, we sang this thing. It didn't mean anything to me. It didn't mean anything. Arise, Patra, Nigeria,
so what will
but that's what I'm saying. If I sat down, I sat back, I looked at the national anthem and I asked myself, if this national anthem actually means anything to our leaders, we will not be respecting our heroes when they are gone. We'll celebrate our heroes when they are with us.
Right.
And so if we imbibe those words of our national anthem and make it a national, a Nigerian dream.
Motto or something to live
Not just a motto, because an anthem, a Nigerian dream where leaders will live it, everybody will live it. At the end of the day, the first impression you get as a Nigerian is, I am a Nigerian. And so these are what drives me. This is the mission of Nigeria. This is my vision as a Nigerian.
I have to say it's like a pipe dream. Sorry. The reason being that you started off... Let me explain. Yes, and I'm coming to advocate to sort of say it's too simplistic in my view. Simply because you started by... No, you hear me out. You started by saying that we're a religious nation. So all over every Sunday, people are reciting, I'm the head and not the tail, I'm above. They're reciting all these things.
To recite is different from having it ingrained in your mind and living it.
Let's get to the crux of the matter.
How do we live
What will shift it from what you say to what you do? Since as a nation, we're good at quoting these things. We're good at reciting it. There must be something more. Yes, I wanted to make that point.
That's what I'm saying. Instead of going to Chuka, sorry. Yeah. Instead of going to school and reciting the national anthem, that's all we do. Have you, throughout your primary school days when you were reciting this national anthem, was there any time, even during civic education, where a teacher came and actually tried to teach you the meaning of the national anthem? No.
Okay.
Nobody teaches you all of these things. We just recite them. Just the same way you go to church, a man just comes and preach and whatever.
So there's a lack of understanding.
And nobody actually sits down to say, look, let me give you a meaning. Let me also tell you, I told somebody, I said, Psalm 23 is my best verse in the Bible. He said, why? I said, if you understand the words, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I'll fear no evil. I said, do you know what? That it's more deadly to walk in the valley of the shadow of death than dying. I said, but it says, fear no evil, for thou art with me. So I don't need to be scared that there are witches in my village and so I won't go to the village. Because somebody made me to understand that, look, this is what it is. But you find out that we're growing children and adults who do not even though they recite it years upon years, but they do not understand or reflect on the true meaning of it.
Let me hear what you can.
The thing is, I was brought up on the old national anthem, which is a much better anthem.
How does that go again?
Oh God of creation.
No, the old one.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand.
Okay.
And the funny thing is, when we were in secondary school, they suddenly came one day and said, "There's a new national anthem."
1979.
So we and we all have to learn.
Us know your age now.
Exactly. We all have to learn it. I was like almost leaving secondary school then, so we were already in a year where you don't come and disturb my life because I'm preparing for my O levels, and you're talking about an anthem that I actually look down on, by the way. So we took it. It was fun. It was not stupid fun, actually, not good fun. And then, I've never accepted that anthem. And so all Liberals is talking about, I know it, but I didn't need the anthem to do it for me. If I waited for the anthem, it would never happen. Now, Nigeria was on the way down. We like changing things for no reason. There was nothing wrong with the anthem. One man came one day, maybe it was Obasanjo, who knows, and thinks, I want to be the one that left an anthem behind because an Oyibo woman left the first one for us. So Obasanjo now says, a new one, please. Somebody go and compose. The composition is very poor musically. So there's nothing to... I
think at that point, that's a good place to end it. Let's go on a quick break, and when we return, Uche will take charge.
Welcome to The Advocate, a program that thrashes out all the topical issues of the day.
When you are in government, you don't see nothing wrong with whatever is happening. The moment you are out there, everything is wrong.
You can't even see
Yes.
many women now, and when they're there, they're not even really making a mark, and then they have an NYSC problem and this and that.
One of the reasons why we don't have more women in politics and enjoys for as long as political meetings continue to take place in the middle of the night.
Exactly.
No, really.
Disastrous for a president
To even say
be
he's unaware.
unaware of the chief
It's
justice.
a ploy. It could be a strategy.
That strategy was very
Backfired.
terrible strategy. Because the buck stops at your table.
Whether it's that we don't look after our cities, and quite frankly, Nigeria is becoming a very ugly place.
When you are the only one feeding the people with this news and there is nobody countering them, it becomes, the news.
You're watching The Advocate on Plus TV Africa. Now it's over to me. Obasanjo, patriot or enemy of state? That's the question. It's election season in Nigeria, and as usual, a particular person is in the news attacking the current government of the day. This gentleman is none other than the very accomplished, yes, in my opinion, former military head of state and twice democratically elected president of Nigeria, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. It is very interesting to note that Obasanjo has been the force behind the installation of each successive government since he relinquished power, but that has never stopped him from turning his back on those he helped to elect and becoming their staunch critic. There is no doubt that Nigeria needs more people like Obasanjo. He is fearless, relentless, and can be ruthless when stating his case against any government he found wanting. And no matter how much they try to rebuke, negate, or silence him, history shows that a loss of support from Obasanjo is a loss at the polls. Now, it begs the question, is the former president a patriot or an enemy of the state? After all, he helped to install the very governments that he ends up successfully plotting against. So what is the motive behind his actions? Is it for love of country or for love of self? Doesn't matter what his motives are if it still works in favor of the people. In a time where we have spineless leaders clearly looking out for their stomachs and that of their children, shouldn't we be grateful to have such a courageous and outspoken voice in Obasanjo? In the words of the great Abraham Lincoln, to sin by silence when they should protest makes cowards of men. I, for one, put it to you that Obasanjo is a patriot and we need more like him. What do you say, guys?
I absolutely agree with you.
Thank you, sister.
I absolutely agree
But
with
he's
you.
a patriot.
He's a
Yes.
patriot.
I think you're
I
taking it a
believe-
bit far.
Well,
I think he's a very wicked man. Very wicked. He wants a situation where he's the only good president we ever had, and I dare say that he's one of the worst we've had, and he's hiding behind the cloak that no one will truly investigate him because there's an unwritten code that we don't investigate presidents, which is wrong. I didn't say it was
You
right.
have taken the topic to a very different
No, but he's taking his... No,
So-
no,
so-
no.
but he's showing
Debbie
he's
was
wicked, I
trying to
guess.
say
Yeah,
something.
so-
yeah, what
Debbie,
I was going
yeah.
to say is this. I believe that he can be both. He doesn't have to be one or the other, as long as the state is being served in some way.
Okay.
Because, I mean,
you
we're
mean-
all,
It's a much more balanced
we're all
response.
inherently
You
good
mean a
and bad.
patriotic enemy of the
Enemy of the
state?
state.
We're all,
I think he's
all humans.
schizophrenic.
No,
Can you
I
be
think so. I
patriotic
think on certain
and
I
days
think
be
he
an
wakes
enemy
up
of the state?
and he's motivated by being the one that saves the day.
Yes.
On other days, he's just a troublemaker and a rascal.
Yes.
No, but
He's just like a
Chuka,
tiny
really.
man that
No,
wants to be
Chuka,
relevant.
Chuka,
That's how he
because
comes.
I think what
you
you're
said,
saying is, can you be both? Yes, you can actually be both. I think we are all both in one way or another. But no, just OBJ's own appears to be more extreme.
No, but
because
quickly,
of the
I want
figure that he
I want to
is.
ask Chuka.
Chuka thinks he's an evil man.
That's
all that Chuka
wicked
thinks.
what I'm asking.
Wicked
Liberals,
evil
God.
That's what I'm asking Chuka. The question again: is Obasanjo a patriot or an enemy of the state?
He's an enemy of the state, ultimately, because when all is unpeeled and the motives behind even what sound like good attempt to help us.
Yeah.
When the motives are exposed, then you realize that, as I said, he just wanted to bring everybody else down.
No, but then,
except
No,
himself.
but
Uche was
quickly,
saying that
but
even
quickly
with
because
the
of time,
motives,
Chuka.
he's still serving the state.
Chuka, let me paint this picture. I'm not a fan of Obasanjo.
Yes.
I've never been, and I don't think I will be.
Yeah.
But today, unfortunately, the protagonists of yesteryears are the antagonists of today.
Yes.
You know, why the antagonists of yesteryears are the protagonists of today.
Depending on who.
But the question, the message is, because they keep saying, address the message.
Yes.
Yes.
Can you fault in all of his letters, starting from Shagari, can you fault the message?
Thank you.
Libras is
No,
in
Libras,
advocacy mode.
get in there, yeah.
You know, I just, you know,
just
it's very,
don't like
it's
that.
very difficult. No, it's very difficult for me to. I'm just one of those people.
Yes.
The messenger has to come with the message.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. I agree
you've got a
with you
point.
in that
You've got a
right,
point.
in
Yeah.
that regard. That
Yeah.
Obasanjo also, you know why I'm not a fan of Obasanjo?
Yeah.
Because God gave him a golden opportunity to set this country right.
Yeah.
He didn't.
He didn't.
But what he knows how to do well
It's critique.
is critique.
And remove.
And then also and that's another thing that you find past leaders in Nigeria. I said it here last week that once you are in government, you are blinded to all the ills.
Yes.
The moment you are out, you begin to see
Ways.
even the current government. You begin to ask yourself all the errors they pointed out in the previous government. You would have expected that they have, you know, like an encyclopedia of those errors and begin to correct them.
Exactly.
And because if you correct them, then you have sent Obasanjo, you've silenced Obasanjo,
Yeah.
so he won't have the opportunity of writing letters.
I was
But
going
when
there.
you allow them to fester, what you're doing, you are playing into Obasanjo's gallery, and he will shine with you by writing letters to you, including El-Rufai. El-Rufai wrote, there's
Yes.
nothing Obasanjo is writing, and El-Rufai didn't write,
That's
you know,
right.
to
Yeah.
this administration.
Yeah, that's right.
In the last administration, those people that are abusing him today were singing his praise. In fact, I said everything he wrote were true.
Yeah.
And what's the
Absolutely.
difference between what he wrote before now and
what
what
he's
he's
writing
writing
now?
now?
Exactly.
But really, I won't see him as a patriot in all of this.
You won't.
I won't see him as a patriot. I won't see him as an enemy of the state. I will just see him as a man
A vehicle.
who, yes, a man, not necessarily a vehicle, a man who likes, you know,
Relevance.
not really relevance. He likes pointing out ills. Even though he can't see them in his own, you know, he likes,
Don't we
and
all?
then
I'd like to tell you
And
the reason I like
not
the reason-
because of
the reason
patriotism,
I see-
but just to tell you that. So
No,
if we also can
let me
decide to
explain
point
why
out
I think
his ills,
Obasanjo is a
sorry,
patriot.
quickly, we also can decide to point out the faults in Obasanjo, and then also use the opportunity of silencing him to correct those faults. But no, we all do the same thing, and we're.
Yeah, but do you not think, you know, I've been watching Obasanjo, I think, you know, he's changing as he's aging and he's getting closer to meeting
Then you
his
don't know
maker.
him.
Yeah, maybe you think
would
I
like
don't
to
know
think, you
him,
would like to think.
but okay, maybe you're right,
You don't
actually. I
know-
think that's
you don't
where
know
I'm going from. I'd
generally.
like to
It's your
think,
narrative.
but I would like to believe that Obasanjo now, after, you know, knowing about all the things that he has done wrong and all the things, all the opportunities he missed, like you already stated, you know, to do a great job with Nigeria, that now he realizes that, okay, fine, I can't go back and change time.
No, Alan.
You know, so why don't I now use my platform, seeing as there are so many spineless people out there who just because they've done terrible things don't want to
No.
speak up anymore. Let me use my platform and speak up and be the voice of the
No, I'm
people.
actually in agreement with what
I
you're
am
saying.
in-
You know why? You know why? That was why I
Makes
said.
people-
That's why I said you don't
So
know
he can be a
Obasanjo.
patriot
Obasanjo
now,
left government
even
in
if you don't think so
1979,
before.
and he criticized Shehu Shagari, criticized Abacha that ended him that prison term. One would have expected, haven't seen all those errors in Shagari, in Abacha, in IBB. When he came, all of those opportunities were given to him again in gold, and he missed them. So now it is not about as he's getting closer to joining his maker. That is the
But Liberals, what we
conventional
do
Obasanjo.
understand is that
That's who he is.
That's
what
who
we
he is.
understand. What
Yes,
people
but
always
hasn't
want you
changed.
to believe is that when you enter power, like, oh, we can all sit here and say, oh, we won't steal or whatever. I really want to believe that I will not steal and I won't do anything. But they say, look, and when you're faced with those big Ghana must go bags of dollars that you've never seen in your
Uche.
life, and all you have to do is just take one
Uche.
and you're set. You and your
Yeah.
family, you're set.
Uche,
What are
you
gonna
didn't.
do
That's
for
why I
that?
say you really don't know Obasanjo. When Obasanjo was president, Obasanjo was in charge.
All right.
I used the word advice. Said
In charge.
he was in charge.
All right, oh my goodness, that got really heated. Every time we mention Obasanjo, it does not end well. But anyway, before we go on a break, let's read some of your contributions to last week's debate. Right, we have Nnamdi Nwankwo. Liboros Oshoma got it. The challenge is that when people are in government, they see nothing wrong. But once they leave government, everything becomes wrong from their perspective. And Nnamdi again says, we should not talk ill of the dead. There is no direct answer. It depends on the deceased's conduct. Will speaking ill of such make the living turn a new life? Maybe. Yes, otherwise, what's the need? That was what I said, actually, yeah. And finally, Uzo Ihono, Chuka's sister. Right, I just watched the second episode, the only one I've been able to see, and found it very interesting and insightful. Very important for Nigerians to have a platform such as this for transparent discourse. Well done, guys. All right, feel free to join the conversation on Instagram at Plus TV Africa, The Advocate, hashtag, and on Twitter at Plus TV Africa, hashtag The Advocate. We would love to hear from you. And now let's go for another quick break, and when we return, Ekene will take things in a different direction.
Welcome to The Advocate, a program that thrashes out all the topical issues of the day.
When you are in government, you don't see nothing wrong with whatever is happening. The moment you are out there, everything is wrong.
You can't even see many women now, and when they're there, they're not even really making a mark, and then they have an NYSC problem and this and that.
One of the reasons why we don't have more women in politics in Nigeria is for as long as political meetings continue to take place in the middle of the night.
Exactly.
It's disastrous for a president
to even say
be
he's
unaware of the chief
It's
justice.
a ploy. It could be a strategy.
That strategy was very terrible strategy. Because the buck stops at your table.
Whether it's that we don't look after our cities, and quite frankly, Nigeria is becoming a very ugly place.
When you are the only one feeding the people with this news, and there is nobody countering them, it becomes, the news.
You're watching The Advocate on Plus TV Africa. I'm in the driver's seat. Recently, I had a heated discussion with a colleague. She was of the opinion that a certain woman in a film deserved to lose her husband to the temptress because she wasn't fascinating enough. When pressed as to what she meant by fascinating, she said she wasn't attractive or sexy. I'm all too familiar with the popular topic of conversation on radio discussion programs that goes something like this. What must we do to keep the men? I even had the displeasure of hearing a Mother's Day sermon on what seemed to be a pitching of the wife against the temptress, with the not-so-veiled threat of, if you don't do some serious gymnastics to keep your man, then there are plenty of women out there who are ready and willing to take him from you. We have only to spend some time in the media space to see how women are continually being sold beauty appendages. Fake hair, fake lashes, fake nails, fake bottoms. What will be left of the real woman, I ask? We have had children, and yet we struggle to look as though we haven't had any. We relish being called yummy mommy or glam mama. Do we really love ourselves? And men, don't imagine that you don't contribute to this self-loathing by the way you endorse this charade. If we have to pull stunts to keep a man akin to witchcraft, then we must prepare to be perennial stunt women or magicians. How about we learn to identify the real men by the fact that they are the ones who are able to appreciate the real women?
Right on, sister.
Give me a
I
high
love
five.
this.
In fact, I've been saying this for.
It's a touchdown.
A real man too.
I am a real man. I'm a real man. Forget it.
Are you for?
And I even feel a bit funny because
Liberals, the camera is on you. We're waiting for you to join.
Is it on Liberals?
You're not part of the real men club.
You see, I seriously, I found that every time I go into a room and I see a lady with, say, natural hair, whatever, I start fancying her.
Wow.
And
Your wife is listening.
Because she's fanciable.
no.
Don't worry.
Don't worry, that's another matter.
That's your private life.
So, I find very attractive natural hair. I don't like lashes. I've made fun of them on social media.
Yes, I have.
Big fun of them, And then, there was one where I said something about going to Sangros Market, and I felt that every woman in Sangros was making eyes at me, all because of the lashes. Yes, because when they look at you and they blink, you think she's sending signals. Then you turn around, even the girl selling tomatoes is sending you signals, and you're like, I better get out of this market.
Chuka, quickly, you see, when I saw the topic, I was like, this should be a women, the heading should be women, their own problem.
Okay, I think it's just women that have the problem.
Yes, I've thought of that,
women, their
seriously.
own problem.
Yeah.
No, I'll respond to that.
Let me
Okay,
finish.
Good.
We had to wait a few minutes for this program because of makeup.
Oh no, you should
You
have
and I.
disclosed that
No,
behind
let
the
me
scenes.
allow me.
go ahead.
These are you and I are the only people on set here without makeups. These makeups,
brown
not
powder.
because
Oh, you don't have brown powder.
because
Not today.
men want to see, or there are men waiting. It's not about men. It's not about the men here. It's about this facade that, you know, when women want to describe somebody who is beautiful, they use, like she has said, sexy, glam mama, facilitating, and you now begin to ask. We now equate sexy or sex
To
with
attractiveness,
beautiful or
yeah.
attractiveness, and so when you push that narrative too often in the mind of men, of the men, some of the men who are not. Who also don't have a mind of their own.
They're soft.
Like you.
You know, they no.
No, you have a mind of your own. I'm not saying- I'm saying you have a
those
mind of
things
your own.
don't fast. They
That's
don't,
what I'm saying.
They don't
You're a
fast-
man that has a mind of your own.
I'm not attracted to those things.
I don't agree with
I
you.
even, let me tell you, I even tell my wife, there was a day she had makeup. I refused to go to church with her.
Oh, you like the plain look?
Yes.
I'm curious.
Okay,
Let them
that's
come in
fine.
and beg.
That's fine. However, let's be honest.
Yes.
The average man, who is the person that the average woman is going to run into? Who is the person that the average woman is going to be about to marry? Prefers to have their woman dolled up. And the reason
What's
why
your-
women,
You're not an average man, Libos.
hang on, the reason why women
Quite
end up
average, yeah.
becoming that way is because if you just, let's
So you
just
live your life for the average man.
no,
That's
hang
like
on.
our point.
Allow
I'm
me.
even waiting for it.
Allow me. The average person wants to be desired.
Okay.
This is a normal thing. Everybody wants to be loved. Everybody wants to be desired. It's a need for everyone, both male or female. However, if you notice that the attention is always going to the person with the long hair, with the lashes, with the news body, with this and that, you begin to wish to become that way. That is what has driven the majority
No,
of
no.
people in
Let
that
me even
direction.
No,
come
I
in
disagree
here.
completely.
Let me
There's a
come in.
truth
Wait,
there.
so let me
There's a
come
truth,
in.
but I
No,
disagree
let
because
me come in.
that truth is fallacious.
No, let me
So
come
that
in.
doesn't look as if it's a
It's
universal
you guys
truth.
now.
No.
It's a lot of
Let's
men.
break
Let
it down.
her- go
Let
on.
me come in.
Go
You
on.
see, the thing is, the way we have in society, we've defined an attractive woman and an attractive man is that for the woman, it's all about her beauty. For a man, it's what he has in his pockets. So, if you want to be, yes, you can be a fat, round, disgusting-looking man. But if you have that dough, no, hang on. Let me finish. You're shaking your head. You're a different
You
kind of
finish,
human
I'm
being.
shaking
That's why
my
we
head.
said the
Finish, I
average.
didn't-
Okay, sorry, let me finish. All right. You know,
Are you looking at
if
my head?
So, you know, if you're a round, fat, disgusting, we have seen it, you know, but as long as this pocket is
must it
full,
be disgusting
many
as
women
well?
will find that man desirable. Now, with a woman, it's not about what's in her pocket. It's like my brother called it, what did he call it? Special effects. Called it special effects. He says, you know, her special effects is more than yours. The reason why a fair girl gets more attention than a dark girl is because she has more special effects. And that's what it is. You guys are attracted to lights and flashing. And that's the reason why we
attracted
give
to
you
what they
red
see.
lips
Chuka,
and eye
permit me,
makeup.
just
Yeah.
permit me quickly.
Men are attracted to what they see.
Yeah, let me quickly, permit me quickly
Yes.
to, these are not universal truths.
No,
They are not.
No, I
let
agree
me-
with
let me,
Libras.
let me
They're not.
finish.
They're
They are
close
Nothing
to-
is
I mean, let me,
Unfortunately, that's what the narrative
Nothing.
is. You know, we talked of the one side
they
and
were-
narrative.
majority
if
now.
they were universal truth,
Yes.
then no black man in America will get married.
Because? What do you mean
What
by
are you
that?
saying?
Because the only white women will be the one getting married because of the special effect, according to you. The issue here is there's a narrative. Take for example the cosmetics maker. They push a narrative that this adds special effects, and so those special and they create the picture, an image of look, it is this one.
What men want.
Your car can have all the special effects if the engine is not it's not good. It won't move you from point A to point B.
So give us the
But the
definition of a real woman in your own opinion.
the narrative, the society is pushing, starting from some of these companies, including the women themselves, is that it is the special effect that makes the car and not the engine.
Okay.
And so
what is the engine?
if we, as a people, if women as a people, that's where you see when I listen to some women advocates, I wish Ireti were here. The kind of message I want to hear from them is, look, what makes the woman is what's inside and not the special effect.
Okay.
Once you push that narrative, that's why, like Debbie talks about the men. That's why when the men are looking for girlfriends, they go for special effects. When they are looking for wives,
That's untrue. That's untrue.
No, listen, what you just said is interesting.
That's
But
untrue.
when they are looking for wives,
Let me tell you
they
something.
go for the inside.
No,
That's
let me
why
tell
we
you
will ask
something.
Chuka,
We
we tell
know
you
that
there are girlfriends and there are wives material.
Exactly.
Wait, we know
It's very
that what is
complicated.
inside
Yes.
is what makes the woman beautiful. We know
Absolutely
that. But in
know that.
order to first get your attention, we need to give you the
Okay,
special
let me
effects.
even give you an
What's
illustration.
wrong with you guys?
May I
Don't
give
be
you an
acting like
illustration?
you don't
Let me give you
know.
an illustration. When we were having this discussion, one of my colleagues, who is a married man, he came in. So I solicited his own input, and I said, what is it that makes your wife fascinating to you? And he said, funny enough, she's actually more fascinating now than when he met her, because somehow, and I said, why? He said, because it's like she's settled into the relationship, she's much more confident. So something from within is giving her that outer, attraction to him. And he said other people may not even see it, which supports what Libros is saying, that
Yes.
ultimately you're drawn to someone not because of the special effects, really, if you ask yourself.
Yeah,
It's
but
because
what
of
gets-
something.
That's girlfriend material. Wife material is different.
That's what I'm saying.
And conversely, sorry, I'm hogging it a bit. Conversely, I then drew the connection that he was the reason she's even blossoming. Because if a husband loves a wife in an unreserved way,
Manner.
she'll become secure in that relationship.
Absolutely.
And so what I'm against is this insecurity that women
Yes,
are
you now
trying
put
to keep
lashes,
their man, their
you
women
put,
down.
Many are still insecure, even when the man is.
That's
all
thank
for
God you're
them.
using the word insecure.
Really?
The truth, yes, I tell you, where I disagree
Nobody
with
say not
liberals,
look
where I
beautiful.
disagree with liberals, I believe that I know that men are dangerously pushing this narrative that the women
Thank
are
you for
following.
owning up, brother.
There are enough men. Enough means that I believe it's more than
yes,
more than
this has gone
50%.
Majority, this is
Yeah.
all I'm saying.
Liberals, you don't belong to the average
Why are
man.
You
men
don't
doing
belong
it?
to the
I have no
majority.
idea. There were many.
I
There was,
can't be an average
many.
man,
I'm not even exactly. We are not average. That's why we're here.
And, you know,
But to be honest,
Chuka, you know what's
yeah.
interesting about the reason
Yeah.
why we women have to do this is because I think we are all aware that there are more women to, more
ratio of women
in
to
ratio,
men.
yes, ratio to women to men.
Let me tell you another thing.
So we're fighting. There's a battle. Sorry,
Let
there's
me-
a battle. So you
let
have
me
to
tell
get
you-
the
It's like
man's
a race.
attention.
Let me
Yeah.
tell you
can't just sit back
quickly
and be
because of time.
chilling.
Let me tell you another one.
Okay, sorry, you won't be able to do that actually. I'll have to take over from here. Okay, it's time to go on that quick break again. And when we return, Debbie will be wrestling with a life and death matter concerning our roads. Welcome to The Advocate, a program that thrashes out all the topical issues of the day.
When you are in government, you don't see nothing wrong with whatever is happening. The moment
Self-interest.
you are out there, everything is wrong.
You can't even see
Yes.
many women now, and when they're there, they're not even really making a mark, and then they have an NYSC problem and this and that.
One of the reasons why we don't have more women in politics and enjoys, for as long as political meetings continue to take place in the middle of the night.
Exactly.
No,
It's
really.
disastrous for a president
To even say
be
he's unaware.
unaware of the chief
It's a
justice.
ploy. It could be a strategy.
That strategy was very,
Backfired.
very terrible strategy because the buck stops at your table.
Whether it's that we don't look after our cities, and quite frankly, Nigeria is becoming a very ugly place.
When you are the only one feeding the people with this news and there is nobody countering them, it becomes, the news.
You're watching The Advocate on Plus TV Africa. It's over to me. After thorough contemplation, I've come to the conclusion that Lagos hates its occupants. With the propensity of Lagos to multiply its population constantly, one would think that attention to our transportation and the traffic situation it currently creates should be a priority for the powers that be. Instead, we have no dependable transportation system that can function for all of the upper, middle, and lower classes, and as a result, we have everyone scrambling to afford cars as soon as they get their first jobs. No actual buses, no actual bus stops, no transportation for domestic staff within estates, no choice for the rising middle class, and no end to the traffic jams plaguing our lives and making Lagos living unbearable. Roads are constructed, then deconstructed and reconstructed, and still no bus stops are put in. People are forced to stand under the rain and sun to wait for buses that stop on the road while they try to jump aboard, whilst private motorists are honking in irritation, and we all arrive everywhere in anger and just late. Flights are missed, job interviews are missed, celebrations are missed, the sick have gotten worse and perhaps even died in commute because the government does not believe we deserve to have a transportation system that we all, regardless of age, stage, class, clan, or walk of life, can commute easier in. I conclude, Lagos State hates us.
By
like your simple conclusion.
By that you mean mostly the government, maybe?
Yes.
That people who should be doing things for us, making these things happen, basically are not.
They are not interested in it.
And if you look at the entire Nigerian government, it's not a surprise.
No, I'm sorry. On this one, I have to do
State
advocate for the government, if you permit me, simply because recently we had a consultation with the Commissioner for Transport.
So you have insights.
So I'm a bit of a biased person at the moment. His position was really to say that they're not getting the money. Let me put it in a nutshell. And when he compared himself to, say, a city like London, he gave us statistics to say, look, we are 10 times, I'm not giving the accurate, but we've grown, yes, we're exploding, but the money isn't coming to them. So they really don't have, and they're caught between a rock and a hard place because the ports, even though Lagos was once the economic hub of Nigeria, and then he moved to Abuja. Once he moved to Abuja, in his own estimation and his own experience, the money and the power moved with it, even though the economic hardware is still thronging in Lagos. So he himself is advocating that Lagos needs that investment because it's still driving a lot of the traffic akin to London. And he gave us comparisons to say a lot of the stuff that is going on in London, a lot of the projects they do require 40% subsidy from the government. And they get it simply because the government understands that this is what's necessary. Correct. He also said that transportation is not a profit-led enterprise. Like, a lot of people don't even want to come and, private sector because you need to make a lot of heavy investment to even get to a point where you can recoup your... So you do need subsidy. You need the government. And government at the moment, he's saying he's the one caught in the middle.
So
it's not Lagos that hates us.
It's Nigeria.
He's pointing to Aso Rock.
Yeah, that brings me...
Nigeria hates us.
That brings me to the topic of your program. Nigerians hate Nigerians.
Laborious, man.
Nigeria hates Nigerians.
I think you might be right.
Nigerians hate Nigerians.
So this Nigerians, is it the government or
No,
the
not the government.
No, the people.
We.
Okay.
Now elections are around the corner. And then the candidates, the presumably top contenders were called to discuss with us. 2 absconded from the debates. And then we were discussing the ones that did not attend.
I know.
Yes.
I know. I didn't understand that.
We were discussing those that
Yes.
ignored us.
Yes.
The ones that came to us didn't matter to us.
Which even went to
we
watch
were-
and
so-
she said she wasn't interested.
Exactly. And so when that happens, just like one of our topic in, during the week, what you have, you create a situation where the worst of us will rule the best of us. And so if you have the worst of us ruling the best of us, these infrastructures that are supposed to be basic, they don't bother them.
Yeah.
And so that's where the hatred comes from. Because we hate ourselves, we don't desire good things. If you talk about this transport system now, the first thing a Nigerian will tell you, Lagosian, it will work. It won't work here.
I was
we are
going
never
there.
good for
What is the
good
solution?
things. So the solution is elections are around the corner here.
Hold them to ransom.
Don't look for, this one is a big party.
Yeah.
Look for the candidate you think can provide transportation. You don't have to live in Ikoyi to work in VI. You can live in Shagam and take a train from
And get
Shagam.
there.
After all,
Absolutely.
people live in East London and work in Heathrow.
Fact.
So
And there's water
or
transportation.
you can live in the outskirts of Miami, park your car at the train station
Absolutely.
and take a train
That's
to downtown.
Yes.
Those are the kind of leaders who we think
Progressively.
not progressively that we need. But if we'll continue to elect leaders or rulers and you think they will lead you,
They are not leaders.
you are not ready. You will turn around to say the state. Who is the state? We are the state. We make up the state.
Yeah.
But you see, the other problem that we might have is, a lot of us believe that if the center is not aligned with the, the state government. So if, the federal government is not the same party as the state government, then
they don't work together.
They
For
don't
almost
work
4 years now, they have been the same party.
Yes.
What has it
Yes.
cost?
I know,
What has
but
changed?
we're now talking about, a different kind of party. If we're going for the people that are not in the limelight, like the ones that were debating that day now.
See how she
Yes.
them as the
Like the ones that were
ones.
debating. Now, if those ones now come into power, do you think any money will be funneled to them or any assistance will be
So
funneled
basically, you're
to
saying
them?
that the people's choice has no impact, really.
Yeah,
We're hamstrung.
what's democracy?
At the end of the day, the
We've
people
been
we
given-
choose, unless they're the two main
No,
parties.
we've been given an option of A or B.
Imagine,
yeah.
are we so
No,
constrained?
you have given yourself
Thank you.
an option
Because-
of A
Okay.
or B.
Yeah. All right.
And so, let's take, for example, Chuka. Just imagine that if you look at the polls, you take a census, let's say, out of the two contenders, two major contenders, who were leading, and then they didn't come for debate, and then you take a poll, you just suddenly discover that the two of them had dropped. Do you know they will take us seriously?
They'll sit up.
Subsequently?
They will
the
sit up.
campaigns or the government will be about governance.
Yes.
But when it is whether
Whether
come
they
out,
come or not.
come out, I will
Yeah.
win.
We as
But
the
the
people,
other argument is
Then
that
it will
the
be
people
what the
that
man
vote,
wants to give you,
the
and not
people
what
that
you know.
vote are not actually the other argument is that the people that vote are not the people that watch debates. So that's the reason why these guys did not feel
didn't
it
take
was
it
that
seriously.
important for them to come out. No, we have to be honest. If they really believe that their presence or them being there to
Or
debate would
absence.
make any or absence would make
We're not
any
discussing
difference.
debate, mind
No,
you.
I know.
We're
but I'm
discussing
just saying,
infrastructure.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
and
I'm
how to
saying,
hold your governors accountable.
What can
Yes.
we do
So
to
we-
ensure
yeah.
that we get those infrastructure?
Yeah.
That's the advocacy
No, but
process.
making a valid
you
point
then
to
suggested that
yeah.
you can vote for all these minor parties or whatever. But I'm trying to explain
Incoming,
to you
maybe, not
that
minor.
I'm not sure that is the answer.
No.
I believe that.
Like in my
Well,
area.
I shall be bringing another topic, which I don't want to get into now, about about the style or system of
Yeah.
government that's good for us, and that's why we have a problem. That's why the debate thing was a fiasco and all
Fiasco?
that.
It was
to me,
a
it was a
fiasco.
fiasco.
It was-
Yeah.
I got a lot of benefits out of that debate.
Yeah, if you
A lot
want to
of things
be
said.
intellectually stimulated.
No,
but
I was happy to
got
see the
nothing
passion
from it.
people
I
were
got-
bringing
I got
to the
nothing
table.
from it. If you
I
vote
wanted to
in
see
if you
those
vote in Mogalu, I mean, I don't know how he's going to even deal with the
There
National
you go.
Assembly.
That's
We're not
just the
visionary.
mentality
We're
we're
so
talking about
restricted
here.
by what is
I
on the
believe
ground.
that.
We're not visionary
I think
enough.
we
And
need
guess
to
what?
empower ourselves
And
at
guess
the end
what?
of the day.
But what
Guess
is
what?
that?
When he's gone now, when and if he
yourself.
loses the election, he's gone for another
Who is
4
that?
years.
Yes.
Any of them.
Yeah, any of them.
The one who opted out today
You know,
is Ekwesili.
you have
And so
reduced
on.
this
Wow,
the
I'm
issue
really
to debate.
shocked a little bit.
No.
Yeah, it's not
so,
that
let's-
we're
so
doing.
let's, so let's
Like,
move
I mean,
back.
I don't know what the word
Let's
is.
move back.
You have
to
reduced the
this
issue to
transport,
debates.
This infrastructure.
Okay. I feel
like-
especially transport.
Yes, how
So
do
then
we
you
get
wanted
what
to
we
say
want?
The only way you can do it is if the right person is in charge of a particular government parastatal that's going to deal with it. For instance, that young man at the water authority, very good chap. We will soon see the results of the water transport in Lagos.
Sorry, okay.
Water transport in Lagos.
Okay.
So when Ambode goes, that will be one of his legacies that they will not forget ever.
Yes.
So we can.
Well, yes, I agree and disagree with some of the points, but it's about time for another break. So when we return, Chuka will indeed be putting the cat among the pigeons.
Welcome to The Advocate, a program that thrashes out all the topical issues of the day.
When you are in government, you don't see nothing wrong with whatever is happening. The moment
Self-interest.
you are out there, everything is wrong.
You can't even see
Yes.
many women now, and when they're there, they're not even really making a mark, and then they have an NYSC problem and this and that.
One of the reasons why we don't have more women in politics in Nigeria is for as long as political meetings continue to take place in the middle of the night.
Exactly.
No,
It's
really.
disastrous for a president
To even say
be
he's unaware.
unaware of the chief
It's a
justice.
ploy. It could be a strategy.
That strategy was
It's a
very,
Backfired.
very terrible strategy. Because the buck stops at your table.
Whether it's that we don't look after our cities, and quite frankly, Nigeria is becoming a very ugly place.
When you are the only one feeding the people with this news and there is nobody countering them, it becomes, the news.
You're watching The Advocate on Plus TV Africa, and this is where I take over. What we hear a lot of Christian Nigerians utter is God of Israel. If they are not assigning a superior relationship with God to Israel, they are naming their organizations and whatnot, Rehoboth and such like names. They only find instances from the Bible as suitable for use as comparative advice to others who are in some sort of a fix. They want to name their children Favor and so on. They spend their perhaps hard-earned money to travel to Israel on what is termed pilgrimage. They throw stones at other Christian sects and, of course, other faiths. When I last checked, Israel wants the rising number of black illegal immigrants out of their country. Among obvious other reasons, they cite the need to keep a homogeneous Jewish society. How has it come to this? Some churches here send messages requesting money for use in Israel. Except there are many gods, each with a capital letter G, there is only one of all nations and all times. One who loves no child of his better than the other. One that is everywhere, in our houses, in our cars, offices, streets, everywhere. The next time you shout God of Israel, listen to yourself and feel the irony. The next time you travel to Israel looking for something, look at yourself. The next time you name your child Elijah instead of Chukwuka, look at yourself. The next time you need an example of a good man to teach others to emulate, choose from today. Ruth of biblical times surely has a contemporary equivalent. Surely we did not close shop after the Bible went to print.
Chuka.
Yes.
I love this.
Am I in full agreement here?
No way! Come on.
Are you
For one,
serious?
anyway, I'm planning to go to Israel, so
Oh, no.
stone me. And let me just make the point straight up now, because
sorry.
he's mixing a lot of issues. Sorry, I'll do this one and I'll step aside. He's mixing up a lot of issues as far as I can make out. There's the issue of, first of all, I would like to interrogate you on what do you believe to be the heritage of the Christian? Because as I understand it and as I've come to understand, the Christian belief is based on the fact that the Word of God is God's word.
Instruction manual.
It's the Bible, it's the Bible line by which you measure other things. So of course for me, it stands to reason that you're going to make reference to the Bible. Otherwise, what other reference will you make? And the point of going to Israel is not for Israel itself, it's because of the love someone has for Christ. That's why they're Christians. So you want to have an affinity, you want to have some sort of connection with someone you love. So you want to know the places. You could have been working in Egypt, I will go to Egypt. Wherever it is that person you love, that you come to know gave himself for you, you want to add, what's the word I'm trying to find? You want to somehow find a bonding point. So
connection.
when you go there, it's not like you can't meet God in your bathroom or in a Jegunle, but you're saying that, oh, this is where this man
It's a
walks.
connection.
Let me identify with him, identify. And so all those things, so I feel that several things cross-reference.
You're a tourist.
You're a tourist, but with
You may be a
meaning.
tourist.
There's
No,
meaning for you.
I don't think there's any meaning. I
sentimental
think you're
meaning.
just a tourist. I would go to, I would go to TBS for one reason or the other. As
If
a
you know
tourist.
somebody in
sorry.
TBS is
Chuka.
respected, then it has value for you.
Quickly, I want to agree with you, but at the same time, I'm finding reasons to agree. I can't find any.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's a funny
why?
mix.
Why? Because you don't blame a man for creating. Yes, now I find the reason. You don't blame a man for creating, wealth out of a god, and then people want to associate with that god. If you had created Oromila or Shango or Amadioha, the way Israel created theirs and sold it or preached it to the outside world, probably they would have been trooping into Amadioha shrine to also relate, like Reti said, relate with Amadioha. Just like
I know you're missing
Oshu Shango, sorry, Oshu Shango,
Twice now.
when they do Oshu Oshobo festival, you see some Jamaicans, some white, they come also. They want to, they've heard that history. They want to also see and walk in that path and, have a bonding. Just like you have Brazilians also, majority of them. So what
I have to object to.
what we have failed to do is to promote us, which I think, that's my point of agreement with you, which I think you're trying to do. Let's promote our own. Instead of Rehoboth or what's the other name now? All my children bear local names, so anywhere you see them, you'll be able to identify with them. But they also have meanings in this, there's no story in the Bible if we had history, if we created our own history. I don't think there's any story in the Bible that we cannot relate with, in our own community that probably would have happened before. You say Christ died for all of us. There are people who died for their community.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say that, I understood some of, and I even agreed with some of the things you were saying, because I'm like that as well. I don't like to meet a fellow Nigerian and they're telling me their child is called, Vivian. I'm sorry, gosh, why did I come to mind? But do you know what I mean?
Me here.
Debbie and all of that. Yes, I believe.
That's even good. You hear names like forgiveness.
Yeah.
You hear names like divine.
But
Divine.
I like it when people use the names from where they're from, But I also understand why people want to be associated with, the God of Israel, because there was there was a relationship there. They were called the chosen people. So I understand. They were God's chosen people.
And Better also is a chosen people.
It's in the Bible.
That's the narrative.
No, it's in the Bible.
I will act like the devil's advocate. It's the narrative. You've been sold.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
That's very hard, but it's at the heart of the Christian religion.
And that is at the heart of the association. That's at the heart of the association.
Then you spoilt the Christian religion.
No. You have to take it out.
Then
everybody
let's take this one after the other, please.
People, so they associate themselves with Israel, and that's the reason. That's the only. That's why they want to say, we're connected to this Israel. We're close to it. We're going to get the blessings.
Then let's
and
hear
the forgiveness.
Debbie.
How can you do that when God is yours?
I was going to, to talk about names.
Yes, I know why, David.
About your reference to names. And I'm talking personally now.
Yes.
When we were born, myself and my siblings, we were all given local names, names from our village. I'm a Rivers girl.
Okay.
So
What's your Rivers name?
I'm Calabari.
Okay, Calabari.
Unfortunately, my surname has nothing to do with anything regarding my town, because my surname is Romeo.
Yeah, that's
so
right,
we
yes.
all have local names. So my name is Ibinabo.
Yeah.
However, when we all grew up and,
But it's
and had a
Ibinabo not
character
more
pattern,
beautiful, sounds,
well,
that better
I'm
than
getting
them.
to it. I'm getting to it.
Yeah.
So when we all grew up and had character patterns and had like a behavioral pattern, then we were given English names.
On the basis of the narrative that the society pushed to you.
Not that. It was based on the relationship my parents had with Christianity. They were both.
That's a narrative.
They were looking
pastors.
for names.
It's not a narrative.
They were looking for names within the Bible.
It's their
and
reality.
so on
they
to choose
picked
for
names.
you.
So they
That's
picked
what
names
That's
that
what
matched
we're
the
saying.
characters of their children.
Right.
And they should be
So
allowed
this
to.
is how
No, they should be allowed
this
to.
is how
This is
Deborah became my name.
Debbie,
Now
yes,
the final level of where I was going to go to is this: in situations, there are people who have ideas for what they want their children to be like, for what they want their children to become. And it's like a prophetic thing for them, where they say, my child is called this because at this point in my life, now my name was Ibn Abba, because at the point in my life, my parents came into money, so they started doing well just when I was about to be born. So Ibn Abba, the meaning of my name reflects in the reality of it.
At the time.
So you need to understand that
that's
for
the same
different
thing.
people, it's different things.
Your name, Ibn Abba, reflects Deborah or whatever, Debbie or Deborah. Let's look. Also has a reflection in Calabari.
That's what I was just going to say.
That's
Where
a
is the
reflection,
Calabari
but because
Deborah?
of the Christian
Where is it?
narrative.
What's that name, Deborah in Calabari?
Because of the.
That's why I said it's their reality. They don't. If I don't know
wanted
a
it from the
story,
Bible. They wanted it from the
narrative
Bible.
you want.
That's my point.
No,
It's their reality.
Because it's like saying, why do you go to school in England?
Yes, I know.
Why not just stay with the local
Exactly.
stuff? Why
No, I
select
agree.
anything?
Do you know why he went to
It's
school
your
in
choice.
England? Do you know why he went to school? If the local were better, he would have stayed there.
It's not a case of better, it's a choice.
It's a choice,
And you
a
can
personal
explore
choice.
that choice. I have children,
It's a choice.
and they have both British, non-British Christian, and
A lot of us
Nigerian
didn't
names.
see.
Because I want to collect the blessing
Let me-
in both
let
of
me-
them.
let me-
And so you
to
can
round up
call-
on
you
this,
call one
to round up on this,
then you
because we
also
have
call
just 30
another
seconds
one
more,
Chinyere, and
so that
go,
Uche can round up.
Yes.
Chuka.
will round up
yes.
today.
To round up on this quickly, you find
you're
out that
restricting us, that's all I'm
what happens is the narrative is yours is not good enough. This one is better. Just the same way they tell you
In some people's minds.
gin made by the white man is better than ogogoro made by you.
Yeah.
So yours is paganism. Why this one is,
Okay,
so
I
you
get
see people now navigating or
and
gravitating
leaving their
to
own behind.
exactly.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay, well, all good things come to a close. But the advocate always returns. Thank you, viewers, for spending time with us. As my fellow panelists cool off after another exciting program, I'm going to cool off as well. all that remains is for me to remind you to follow up with conversations on our social media platforms. Instagram and Twitter, we are at +TV Africa, hashtag The Advocate. Facebook, +TV Africa, all one, no gaps, hashtag The Advocate. Let's advocate for a better society. Bye.
Welcome to The Advocate, a program that thrashes out all the topical issues of the day.
When you are in government, you don't see nothing wrong with whatever is happening. The moment
Self-interest.
you are out there, everything is wrong.
You can't even see
Yes.
many women now, and when they're there, they're not even really making a mark, and then they have an NYSC problem and this and that.
One of the reasons why we don't have more women in politics and enjoys for as long as political meetings continue to take place in the middle of the night.
Exactly.
Really?
Disastrous for a president
To even say
be
he's unaware.
unaware of the chief
It's
justice.
a ploy. It could be a strategy.
That strategy was very
Backfired.
terrible strategy. Because the buck stops at your table.
Whether it's that we don't look after our cities, and quite frankly, Nigeria is becoming a very ugly place.
When you are the only one feeding the people with this news and there is nobody countering them, it becomes, the news.